Hello, folks. This is Kenny with Just the Right Angle doing another podcast here from Little Rock. And I am mainly here to talk about what can only be described as the fallout from the state convention. For those who are wondering, the Arkansas Republican Party held a state convention earlier. It was held and of course it was held in Rogers, Arkansas, a place where deliberately made to be far away from many of the conservatives that were mainly based in the southeastern part of the state. And in particular, this is somewhat of a recap of what happened. For those who don't know, last state convention did not go near as well. Yours truly was one of many who was literally banned from the Arkansas GOP State Convention. I'm actually going to show some of that footage of what happened last time. What's been going on across the state and really across the nation is that conservative activists have been more or less trying to take over these GOP conventions. They have been trying to reform the Republican Party in a way where it can become an actual conservative powerhouse and not just a go along to get along country club, which sadly has been the case. Now, many of those who have been involved in this across the nation, if you've been following, probably the first one I saw of any significance of any reform was the Nebraska GOP. There may have been other states that have really fought to make sure that their convention, that their Republican Party was a conservative one. But the first main one that I know of was in Nebraska. There was a group called the Nebraska Freedom Coalition on Twitter. And I remember watching the footage of it, seeing it on Twitter, and then finding out the footage of it. And that group basically took over their convention. They actually had the cops arrest somebody, put them in handcuffs, and take them away. That person later came back and won a position. If you go to Nebraska Freedom Coalition on Twitter, you can find the results of what happened with that. Now, as for myself, what happened in Arkansas last year, or actually 2 years ago, during the state convention, is that the Pulaski County delegation was removed. They were simply kicked out. They were falsely accused of not doing their convention correctly. Every county does its own convention that choose delegates to the state convention. During our convention process was actually hijacked by the 2nd District Attorney Melanie Golick, who then falsely accused us of not doing the convention properly. What I'll do is I'm going to play some footage from that event up here, so you can just kind of listen in on this.
Nobody from Pulaski County Committee is allowed in.
The chairwoman's in there.
The chairwoman's in there. She's not seated either.
The chairwoman is in there as a guest.
I mean, come on, you guys. We need to have one rule. We need to follow the rules. The chairwoman is in there, and she's not seated either.
I mean, is the chairwoman going to report it?
Nobody from Pulaski County Committee.
If you remember 71 delegates that are not being seated, we will not be allowed.
There's alternates too. Are the alternates allowed in?
No. I was told no, it's no.
Okay.
I'm not explaining this all day long. I would like to go back to the meeting. So here's what's going to happen. You're a delegate. Are you a delegate?
Yes,
And you're one that's not being seen.
that's correct.
You're entitled to a refund. You need to leave. That's all I can tell you.
Okay, I want an answer. I would like an answer, please, sir, kindly. I'm asking peacefully. Are the alternates going to be allowed in?
I was
Is
in no
anybody-
part of that delegation that was being voted down. It was voted down that they're not being allowed in.
Yeah, they voted not to seat anybody.
They voted not to seat anybody that was on that delegate list.
Excuse me.
Still not your
She was bad vote. I think it's
I'm not
Excuse me.
trying
If you want to
to
go to the front of the hotel, I can see if I can get Sarah Joe or somebody out there to speak directly to you. But right now,
Would you do that? Because there's a lot of other people out there, they deserve
right
to
now,
be.
just clear the hall.
Okay, that's
I'm
fine.
just,
So to let you know, what they did is they banned the Pulaski County delegation, and they even banned, and later on they actually kick us out of the hotel. The director there at the time, Sarah Jo Reynolds, was so hateful that even most of the Union Party establishment there didn't like her and eventually would force her out as director. She has been since replaced with Seth May. Now, because of the Pulaski County delegation being kicked out, there were efforts to close Republican primaries during this last convention. That didn't happen. That was voted down. And any other kind of reforms were voted down as well. Notice this other, I believe this lady in the back here is Margot. She's going to be an important person later on. And this, by the way, was filmed by my lovely wife, Rebecca DeWitt, who filmed some of this in the hallway, and then I did some of the editing for it. But that was last year. Actually, that was the last convention. I'm sorry, I mixed it up. That was the last state convention. We were kicked out. Conservatives were blocked. That was held in Little Rock. And they managed to illegally use the Little Rock Police Department to kick people out and not have them enter. So this convention, we did a lot of conservatives got together and planned, and we took over several more committees. And eventually what happened was we managed to get a group of people, a coalition together that what we knew would be able to vote in the reforms we needed. So because of that, the establishment decided to play a little trick. They first moved the convention to Rogers. And they did that, as I mentioned before, as a way to make it harder for people who wanted to attend the convention to be able to physically go by increasing the travel time. They knew it would be hurtful, and it would cause a lot of pain and suffering for people to, spend their entire day trying to make travel arrangements and then hotel arrangements when they could have held it in Little Rock. And that probably did reduce the amount of number of some people that were able to go, but it didn't stop it. Enough people were able to muster up and find a way to make it up there so that they could get involved in this process. So that attempt didn't work, and they probably figured that out. So the next thing that the Uniparty tried to do, the Never Trumper, Asa Hutchinson, Ronna McDaniel, Caldwell Consulting, Impact Management types tried to do, is they tried to have a state committee meeting and make it a requirement of 2/3 in order to pass a rule change. And by the way, these rule changes, I believe, had already been submitted by the time this was done. Everybody knew these rule changes were there. They were submitted in a timely manner to the Rules and the Platform Committee, and everybody knew it. So the establishment tried to, in their state committee, change the rules of a convention, which they shouldn't be able to do, because the convention is actually the ending authority of how they're supposed to be governed. And that attempt, however, was voted down anyway. They couldn't get a vote needed to change that. So then, when that tactic did not work, they tried to hide the delegate list. They tried to, the delegates, all the conventions, all the counties sent their delegation list to the secretary, Julie Harris. It's also handled by the director, Seth May. That list was supposed to be sent back out so everybody knows who's supposed to be voting. The rules changes and any platform changes that were timely submitted are all supposed to be sent out. Neither of those were done. So what we try to do about a week before the convention is conservatives like myself began calling the RP office saying, where's the delegate list? Where's the delegate list? This is actually a call from that my wife made earlier. I'm going to play it so you kind of idea what I'm talking about. Yeah, it's not answered for a while, by the way.
Hi, you've reached the Republican Party of Arkansas. We are sorry we missed your call. If you know your party's extension, you may dial it at any time. Or to use the dial by name directory, press pound 1. You may also leave a message in the general cell box by dialing 0. Thank you. If you know your party's extension, using the telephone keypad, please begin spelling the first or last name of the person you wish to call. If you listen to this name versus again, press
As usual, the dial by person system doesn't work. They rarely ever do. Pieces of junk. I avoid them.
Hi, you've reached the Republican Party of Arkansas. We are sorry we missed your call. If you know your party's extension, you may dial it at any time. Or to use the dial by name directory, press pound 1. You may also leave a message.
So again, she goes through this. This has been now almost 3 minutes that I skipped through.
Arkansas, please leave a message. If you have finished recording, hang up or press pound for options.
Good morning. My name is Rebecca DeWitt. I am a delegate from Lincoln County, and I would like someone to call me back and confirm that you received my delegate list. I'm the chairman of the county, and I sent it in some time ago. I would like to know that you received it. Please confirm. I would also like to have it either sent to me in writing, or you can call me and let me know that our first district secretary, of first congressional district, Jennifer Hopper, who is on the credentials committee, I want assurance that she has received the entire delegate list so that she may do her job. Because according to Robert's Rules of Order, the authority and responsibility for general direction of this work remain with the credentials committee. And I do believe that means that the credentials committee should direct the work. And I would like to know that she is being allowed to do her job along with the others on the credentials committee. My number is 870-370-0698. I would like this message to be relayed to Seth Mays, the executive director, and Joseph Wood, the chairman, and anyone else that this pertains to.
Now, that other person would be Julie Harris, who is the secretary. Again, it was mainly Seth May and Julie Harris, actually, the ones who hold the list. Of course, as the chair, certainly Joseph Wood has and nothing else, a large bully pulpit where he could say, I'm trying to get this list out. Anyway, that list was never released, and it led to a lot of confusion within the convention. And it's one of the reasons why the convention ended up lasting 10 hours. So later on, as the convention started, the people began saying, hey, we need to find out who's actually allowed to vote in this and who isn't. And that took a lot of time. And here's one example. Here's a report from the person who should have released the delegate list.
Where is the credentials chair? Would the credentials chair like to give her report?
At first, she seems like she doesn't want to. Get this done.
The credentials process for the state convention is laid out in Article 1, Section 6 of the Republican Party of Arkansas rules. So according to the rules, RPA rules, delegates and alternates are elected at the county convention. Their credentials must be filed with the secretary at the RPA office by their chairman and their county secretary. Additionally, the state chairman is required to name 5 people to serve on the credentials committee. This year, the credentials committee was Doug Warner, you hear that? Stan Lennon, not here. Jennifer Hopper, Kelly Crocker Pierce. Kelly, are you here? Yes. AJ Kelly. And myself. As clearly stated in the RPA rules, the credentials committee has responsibility for one thing: carry any contest of election of delegates and alternates to the state convention.
No, that's not their only responsibility. Once they confirm that there's no challenges, they're supposed to release the list.
If an alternate is rejected by the credentials committee, they have the right to appeal to the court of the convention. The credentials committee must report its finding to the convention before the delegate or alternate can be seated. No delegate or alternate is permitted to vote until they have been placed on a temporary roll or seated by the convention. The credentials committee met yesterday at noon. And I am pleased to report there were no contests. It was not a rush meeting. Everyone had the opportunity to speak. Everyone at some point in that meeting did speak. There were no objections, no contest. We had 995 delegates, 287 alternates submitted to the state party. Today, last count, we had 616 delegates and 38 alternates. I'll move the adoption of the credentials report.
So again, it finally was submitted, but it took a long time. And because of that, there was a lot of confusion. You can see on here, Keep Arkansas Legal, where I've uploaded a whole slew of videos regarding the various confusion, asking for delegates. Counties would then have to individually go through roll call. And again, it's part of the reason why it ended up lasting 10 hours. But eventually, we did get the delegates, the right people to be the delegates. There was an attempt to try to make confusion regarding delegates and alternates, and then trying to see who would be a temporary chair. That confusion was later on refuted. It was sorted out. Jennifer Lancaster, the conservative, who was already a second district chair, was elected temporary chair. So when that didn't work, and they realized that all their tricks had failed, they tried a simple procedure of trying to adjourn the meeting. And this guy right here is Brian Lester, who, from what I understand, has made some complaints on the internet claiming we didn't do the procedure correctly. But he has no specific example. This is the guy who's now trying to sabotage the entire convention, which, by the way, if the convention is null and void, it violates state law. It also takes away 6 electoral votes from Donald Trump for the Republican primary. So keep that in mind. I'm going to play this right quick.
All counties that did the same. If your county chairman appointed individuals to your delegation, we're going to ask that you turn in your badge and go sit at the back.
So this is.
Okay, Mr. Lester, would you like to bring one?
That was Sebastian County. Let
me entertain the point of order first, and then if you want to first, I'll be happy to take your floor. Yes, Mr. Lester.
Madam Chair, I'm going to be ordered hearing vote on anything that the unless it could be taken care of without a quorum, the provisions committee would have to be adopted. If we elected a temporary chair, which would require a quorum to do so, it was done before the provisions committee before it was adopted. Therefore, we have not done that out of order on Robert rules. There's no if, and, or but. That's exactly what it says.
Okay, so this is a point of order.
So I move that we adjourn.
So what he's trying to do is claim by Robert's Rules of Order, since we're still having confusion regarding the delegates, which is their fault, by the way. It's the fault of people like Brian Lester and the uniparty folks that are running the party. We should adjourn the entire convention. What he's failing is to see is that we actually have a temporary chair system in place for the convention, which are done by RPA rules. And Jennifer Lankhurst, I believe, explains it here. So.
To address that, I will have to be put to a vote because we do not have an agenda. However, I would like to go ahead and address that because the convention rules, if you want to look at our RPA rules, which we only look to Robert's rules when our RPA rules are signed. If you will look at Article 1, Section A, A6, the convention shall first elect a temporary chair and a temporary secretary, and after the report of the credentials committee and the hearing of any contest that may be brought before the convention shall then proceed to organize by the election of a permanent chair and a permanent secretary. The convention shall proceed in the order of business prepared by the convention rules committee. So we have done everything appropriately under our RPA rules, which again, we only look to Robert's rules when our RPA rules are signed.
So again, she gratefully, as a lawyer, better explains it than I can. This, by the way, is a guy named Al, I believe, Garvey or Green. I can't remember his last name. It doesn't matter. He is a parliamentarian hired by the Republican Party of Arkansas. And the only thing, I think the only two rulings he made was regarding advice that he gave was regarding an attempt to change the rules, saying that the attempt to change Rule 6 of the RPA rules would require a 2/3 vote. And I think he made another ruling in the second room. But he did not at any point state when we were done with the convention that there was anything wrong done. And that's important to note. Folks, I'm going to upload much more footage of this onto Keep Arkansas Legal. It's going to take some time. It's hours and hours. I literally have 2 computers that are actually uploading footage right now. I haven't even got to where in the second room. That's another trick they tried, is they tried to stall for time and then claim that that we had to evacuate the room for another event, which turned out to be an absolute lie. And it looks like Seth May was involved in that lie, which is one of many reasons why he needs to be removed as director. Joseph Wood, he's a great guy. I certainly would replace most of our elected officials with him. I just think he's on the wrong side of this. And I really do hope that we can get rid of a lot of the influencers and the saboteurs within the Republican Party of Arkansas. Some of those that I've mentioned before: Caldwell Consulting, Impact Management. I know the Association of Counties will often get involved in Arkansas politics, the Arkansas Municipal League, the Chamber of Commerce. Some of these organizations have been around since the 60s, and they're the reason why Arkansas is dead last. And then they were part of the Democrat Good Old Boy Network, and they stuck their finger in the wind and stuck some infiltrators within the Republican Party. But we are kicking them out. We are making an effort to remove them. It's just going to take some time. But once we do, we can really reform the state, pass some real conservative legislation, and do our part to fight globalism. Because Donald Trump isn't going to save this nation. And, it's not just going to be on him. It's got to be up to us. If you want to fight against Charles Schwab and Bill Gates and the globalists that are ruining this nation, you're going to have to fight the ones in your local area. Fight the globalists in your backyard. The Bible verse I always leave with is, when the righteous rule, the people rejoice, and when the wicked rule, the people groan. That's about it for now. I'm actually fixing to start some work on KAR News Radio. You can catch me on the podcast. I'm going to try to put this on Podbean as well. Rumble, Just the Right Angle, YouTube, Keep Arkansas Legal, also on Facebook. Lots of more interesting footage, but that's just what I want to chat out today. Y'all have a good day.